So hello all, and welcome to the first video in a series, Google Classroom for Beginners at AGS. This is basically the reasons why I use Google Classroom. I should point out that I've had no official training on this whatsoever. Virtually everything I've learnt I've found out for myself during lockdown. But this is a series of videos on how I do things and why I find Google Classroom so powerful. So this first video, why use Google Classroom, I think straight off the bat we should say it's not going to be a replacement for Show My Homework. So if you think that it's us migrating to a new system, it's not. It will be in addition to that, and for many of you that will put you off, I'm sure. So why do I use it? Well, the first thing is that the quizzes are far more flexible. The reason I went hunting in the first place was because I tried to do some self-marking quizzes on Show My Homework and I found them so restrictive and so difficult to use, I thought there must be a better way. And the nice thing about the Google Classroom quizzes is you can import pictures. So students are able to choose from the correct diagram, A, B or C or D in a multiple choice question. You can have short answer questions like this one, give the possible formula where there's a particular right answer but it's open so the students have to give that. You can have much longer answer questions, so a 3-marker, describe how the fuse in a firework starts the chemical reaction. And you can have questions where the students actually have to upload a sample of their work, and these can all be together in the same quiz, allowing far more flexibility and far more realistic representation of what an actual test paper might look like if you want to do that. It's also easy to identify common misconceptions. Again, one of the reasons I went away from Show My Homework was I just wanted to know what the worst answered questions were from the class. And I actually ended up contacting Show My Homework or Satchel, and they said the only way to do it was to export all of the answers as spreadsheets, tot up the number of each answer, and then go and work out the percentage of each question that had been answered correctly, and then go and work out what the lowest percentages were. And this seemed ridiculous. The nice thing about Google is if you've got a form that you marked, not only does it give you the grades, the distribution, the spread, but it'll also tell you the proportion of people that have answered each question right, and it will give you the worst answered questions automatically. So here, the worst answered question, with just 28 out of 67 people getting it correct, was question 1A3, which was this one, and only 40% of people got that correct. It'll also give you information on the variety of answers to short answer questions. So here there was that formula one. You can see that about 60% of people got the right answer, but there are a wide variety of other answers which you can go through and decide whether they deserve credit or not. Another great advantage of Google Classroom is that you can work collaboratively online. So here is a project done by Amy Appleton and 3 others. And as they're doing this project, I'm able to comment on their work and provide suggestions for how they can improve it. So that means you can have multiple homeworks over multiple weeks. And you can see down here, you're able to mark it as well online, thus saving huge amounts of paper or copying files all over the place. You can set tighter time frames. So we wanted a test that started at 2 p.m. And for the extra timers it was due at 5:45 here. So you can set to the minute the time it's due, and you can have homeworks that come online for just 2 hours if you need them to all do the test at the same time. And that's what I did with the Year 12s. I had a test that came online at 2 o'clock with submission certainly by 6 o'clock. And it'll also tell you who's handed in on time, who hasn't handed in at all, and who handed in late. So that could be useful down the line if you suspect someone has copied off someone else. It keeps track of exactly when every single piece of homework is submitted. So if you want to know whether they copied, you look, and if that time of submission was during form time, you know it's quite likely they copied off one of their friends. You can comment on handwritten work. There's a bit of training needed to ensure that students upload as PDFs correctly oriented, but once that's done, the system allows you to comment directly on a written piece of work. And here is Helena commenting on some of my work, and it's a bit clearer when you're actually on it because these get brighter. They get bright yellow as you hover over them, but you can see here that you can select certain pieces or certain areas, and the comments will be appropriately associated with those areas, therefore giving feedback on specific parts of a handwritten document. And you can mark with rubrics. So this is one I did with the Year 8s. I set them the assignment, I gave them the rubric so they knew exactly how they were going to be graded. It takes a bit of time to write one of these for the first time, but it may be that you've got some of these in paper format that you just need to copy across, and you can see what is the natural greenhouse effect, factual recall of information given in the lesson, excellent 3 points, good 2 points, average 1 point, poor no points. And you can see the descriptions under each of those, and when you mark it you literally just click on the box that best describes. A very quick way to mark things like projects or essays. And it's very easy to see and access past data. Unlike the Show My Homework markbook, which is so difficult to use and so difficult to get all that data off in a usable format, the markbook in Google Classroom is extremely easy. All the homeworks that they've done at the top, students down the side. For some, it may just be a case of hand it in or not. For some of them, you may only want to set scores for a certain proportion of the students. So here you can see I only assigned the homework to certain students, and for all the others, there will be a score. It will tell you if it's not handed in, it will tell you if it's done late, and also for any single one you can just click on it and go directly to that submission for that student. So it's very easy to navigate, very intuitive, unlike the Show My Homework. So to sum up, the benefits of Google Classroom versus Show My Homework. The quizzes are so much better and so much more flexible. The deadlines can be much tighter. You don't have to set it for the end of the day, you can set it when you want. A huge benefit, you can edit and mark documents online. You don't have to download them, you don't have to print them. You can mark it and then just release it back to the student to do the next bit. Students are able to collaborate on a piece of work that you can then mark. You can give feedback directly on scanned PDFs. So students uploading written work, you can comment directly on that work at the appropriate point. You can easily mark with rubrics. Once you've set them up, you can use them again and again, copy them from one homework to the other, and just click on the number that best describes, and click on the descriptor that best describes how the student performed. And the markbook is far more user-friendly and easy to navigate. It really will replace a paper markbook. Disadvantages, it's not linked to Sims in any way, so it doesn't have any of that data, no photos. You've got to set up all the classes yourself. It doesn't have PP information, SEN information, etc. Your classes are completely separate from all other teachers. You have no idea what that student is doing for other teachers, how much homework they've got, anything like that. All you can see is your classes, and so that can be a problem. If students turn off the Google notifications, they will forget to check Google Classroom. You've always got to do a backup on Show My Homework to point them to it. There's lots of quirks. So there are loads of shortcuts, but sometimes they're not that easy to find. And so there is a learning curve. But that is true of Show My Homework. It took me ages to work out how to do certain things in Show My Homework as well. And finally, the information has to be duplicated on Show My Homework as well. That's true at the moment. It may be that in future you just say, see Google Classroom. So I've given you the reasons why I much prefer Google Classroom to Show My Homework and why I think it's far more powerful. Feel free to select one of my other videos and go and see whether or not you find that useful. Bye.